Hello and welcome to VistaTalks, interesting discussions with interesting people from all around the world. I'm your host for today, Simon Hodgkins, and I am delighted to be joined by Caroline O'Connell. Caroline is the Chief Revenue Officer at Vistatec. Caroline, you're very welcome to VistaTalks.
Thanks, Simon. I'm delighted to be here. I'm just after my first anniversary with Vistatec, so I'm absolutely thrilled. So thanks for making the time.
Well, it's great to have you here on the show. I know a lot of people are going to be interested in the topics that we touch on today. And as you mentioned, I want to jump straight in because you've been in Vistatech now over the first year as the
Yep.
Chief Revenue Officer. So if we look back over those 12 months, what has stood out for you? What stands out the most from those past sort of 12 months? And what surprised you the most, maybe, about the pace of change that we seem to be seeing in the industry right now?
Yeah. I mean, the pace is something else, really, right? I think, I'm not surprised by the pace of change, but it's the maturity that's coming with that change, right? Which our customers are becoming very mature in their buying conversations. They're demanding that we have maturity around it as well. That's something that has surprised me. I think the conversation has fundamentally shifted, right? It's from no longer, localization as a service. It's really about the strategic capability of localization, tying it directly to our customers' revenue, to their experience, and risk mitigation. That's a big thing I'm talking to customers about now. I think, the pace of change with AI has been massive. It's no longer seen as a point solution, right? It's really reshaping the entire operating model of our industry that goes for all of us, all of our competitors, and all of our buyers. And it's not really, how fast can we do this? It's not around about turnaround times at all. It's about how safely can we do it? How transparently can we do it? And how can we scale globally? I think the shift has been profound in that regard.
Well, that's great insight, Caroline. Thanks for sharing that. And it's mindful of me to mention that when you joined Vistatech, it was a very significant moment in the company's journey over
Yep.
maybe 3 decades because you announced the new global headquarters in Dublin,
Yep.
for the world,
Yep.
headquartered in Ireland, obviously. You've launched growing AI services, which I know are more and more of interest to customers. And, you also received industry recognition with lots of awards that the company's won over the last 12 months.
Yes, we
But
have.
how,
Yep.
how would you describe the momentum of the company right now?
I think there's a real sense of momentum at Vistatech right now, and it's coming really from a combination of clarity and capability. We have a very clear position in the market, and we're being recognized for that. If I'm going to conferences, our peers are talking about us and that clarity that Vistatech has now with our buyers, with our potential buyers, and indeed with our competitors. We're very focused on enterprise clients. Complex content is where we work best and high stake environments as well. We're backing that up with strong innovation in AI services and delivery models, as you pointed out. I obviously have a sales team and I tell them every day, you can be confident in what you sell with Vistatech because we have an operating model that is second to none. I have never seen the like in all of my years in the localization industry. So it's brilliant for our sales team. Gives them the confidence to sell. And as you mentioned, our global headquarters, I love our new offices. They're absolutely gorgeous, but it reflects that forward momentum really. And more importantly, it reflects our investment in our people, in technology and client partnerships. We have an amazing AI division at Vistatech, and I absolutely, what they're doing every single day just astounds me. So it feels for me like Vistatech isn't just keeping pace with the industry. We're really helping to define where it's going.
That's very encouraging. Thank you, Caroline, for sharing that. And you mentioned a term there that I want to come back to with my next question for you, which was complex content. And
Yeah.
enterprise buyers, they seem to be asking much more sophisticated questions about AI governance, about data security, workflow transparency. You mentioned transparency, and of course,
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
How has this changed the way maybe the localization partnerships are built now and evaluated now? Have you seen a change there?
Yeah, I have. I mean, look, enterprise buyers, as you said, they're way more sophisticated now. They're not evaluating LSPs around cost and turnaround times. They're assessing risk, as you said, right? They want to know how is their content being handled. They want to know if they can audit our AI decisions. What are we doing in relation to AI? They need to be able to audit that. They need that transparency, and that's massive. For us at VistaTec, we make sure that our customers are very aware of what we're doing, and we don't do anything without our customers' approval either. That's very important. The level of human oversight, customers still need that, and they want to understand what level of human oversight we have in place and how resilient are our workflows. We have an amazing workflow team at VistaTec, and our customers really rely on them. We're seen as a trusted advisor in relation to that. So yes, localization partnerships, and they are partnerships. That's how our customers view Vistatec. They've become way more strategic. Trust. And I say this about trust because before I joined Vistatec, I knew Vistatec as the leader of quality. All of the LSPs understand that Vistatec is the leader when it comes to quality. But what I didn't realize until I joined Vistatec and started talking to Vistatec's customers, just how trusted Vistatec is. And trust is a critical part of the ethos at Vistatec. Our customers trust us, and that the importance of trust, transparency, and governance, they're critical. They're front and center in everything that we're doing with our buyers now because of AI. And that fundamentally changes how partnerships are being built. It's very much really less transactional and way more about long-term alignment. Being aligned with our customers' direction is critical, but it's for the long term. Short, medium term is no longer where it's at.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I think trust, as you mentioned, so critical in a changing environment. And I think it's great to see the customers that have been with Vistatec for many, many decades staying with Vistatec as a market leader. It's also very encouraging because you've had some successes as well, quite
Yeah,
a lot of successes with new companies, new big
yeah,
brands coming to Vistatec. I think that's very good to see. Now,
yeah,
it won't be news to you that I talk a lot, as do you, about AI services plus Vistatec's human expertise. And I wanted to ask you
yeah,
about Vistatec's approach to AI because it seems to be centered very much on verification, accountability, and human expertise, of course. So,
yeah.
why do you feel that balance is becoming so important, especially for the global organizations who are maybe operating in regulated or high risk sectors, Caroline?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose the balance is absolutely critical because AI on its own doesn't equal quality, and it certainly doesn't equal accountability. And for global organizations, the ones that we work with, especially in regulated industries too, the stakes are really high. Like a mistranslation or an unchecked AI output can impact compliance, brand trust, vital for many of our customers, and even safety. Right. So what we've done really well is anchor AI within a framework of verification and human expertise. AI gives us scale, it gives us speed, but human linguists, domain experts, and quality controls ensure accuracy and context. And I suppose it's that combination that creates confidence for our customers and for their customers.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things that I particularly love about your approach to the strategy at Vistec is you spend a lot of time talking to customers. And I wanted to ask you about your
Yes.
perspectives here, Caroline, because with speaking directly to these customers, what do these global enterprise clients really need at this time from a localization partner, from an AI partner, and how are you going about addressing this?
Well, I think when I'm talking to customers, I'm hearing this message consistently really is that they need three things. If I had to call them out, it would be confidence, confidence in us and what we can deliver and do for them. Scalability is, of course, massive, and insight. And, they want confidence that their content is secure, is compliant. I mean, look at the EU AI Act. That's massive. Doesn't You don't have to be in the EU to be compliant with that. If you're selling into Europe, you need to be compliant, right? Just as GDPR came in several years ago, exactly the same principles apply there. So confidence that their content is accurate, secure, and compliant is vital. Scalability to handle growing volumes across multiple markets, that's never going to go away. And insight, of course, into the performance of that content, the quality of that content, and the risk mitigation as well. And so we combine technology-led delivery. I know a lot of people talk about Vistatec. We don't, we're known for being technology agnostic, but we have a brilliant development house and we develop our own technology as well. So technology-led delivery is vital with our deep human expertise, of course, and a very transparent operating model. Transparency is key. So we're not really just executing localization anymore. We're helping our customers to understand and optimize how their global content performs.
I love that, and I love the focus on how the content performs because it's
Yeah.
wider than the traditional way that a lot of people have looked at it over the years. And I also know that you've been championing proprietary technology, very sophisticated technology that removes the pain and the friction and delivers on everything that you're talking about in the marketplace. And that's really good because you mentioned that sort of development lab, these sort of experts that you have behind the scenes that are able to put together these bespoke, very complex platforms, but very easy to use and that are making a real difference for customers. And maybe some of that proprietary work, as well as being able to plug in any different type of technology, is really
Yeah.
helping. So that brings me on to something I want to also ask because culture is a big part of what a company needs to get right. And it's often described, isn't it, as a competitive advantage. But it can be difficult to measure sometimes culture. And from your perspective, how does that VistaTech culture show up in things like client delivery, especially when the projects that I know you're delivering on it, they can be complex, they can be very urgent, they can be high stakes. Where does culture fit into that? And how do you get culture to show up in that sort of client delivery aspect?
Well, I think, culture shows up really when things get difficult. That's when it becomes tangible, right? And I think at Vista Tech, what stands out is a deep sense of ownership and collaboration. That's for sure. I see that every single day. When projects become complex or urgent, our teams don't operate in silos. I know I talked earlier about the operational excellence at Vistec, but really they come together, they problem solve, and they stay very close to their customers. Our customers really see VistaTech as a trusted advisor. They ask us for help. They ask for our opinion. It is unreal. I've never seen that before to that level. It's exceptional. And there's a really strong commitment to quality. It's at the core of everything we do and doing things the right way and doing things in partnership with our customers, even when we're under pressure. And that consistency really, it builds that trust and it's consistently there. I see it and feel it every single day. Our customers feel it. And it's often, to be honest, it's probably the reason so many of our customers have been with us for such a long time.
So that's great, and I think also you talk about time, and I wanted to mention the 30-year anniversary that at the time of recording this is rapidly approaching.
Yeah.
So what does longevity say about trust? What does it say about reinvention and that ability maybe to keep evolving in such a fast-moving global industry? Because you sure can't stand still, right?
No, you really can't. And look, longevity in this industry in particular, it doesn't happen by accident. It really does reflect an ability to continuously reinvent while staying true to our core principles. And that's vital. The culture at VistaTech of trust really runs through every aspect of our business. And staying true to that is really one of the core reasons that we have been in the business for so long and that we are so successful. VistaTech is growing year on year. I think that's amazing. And really, that longevity, it's because we've evolved. We've evolved with technology. Our Chief Technology Officer, Phil Ritchie, is unreal, and he continues to to just evolve with the changing customer needs. He invests, he gets ahead of the curve, but always while maintaining a strong focus on quality, trust, and partnership. So 30 years, I suppose, tells a story of resilience, right? And relevance. And that's very important. And it shows that we've been able to adapt through multiple waves of changes. And we're still evolving, and we're evolving at some pace and we're able to do that. And I love the fact that Vistatec is so agile. I can compare, obviously, and the agility we have at Vistatec is exceptional. And so we're evolving at some pace right now, and we'll continue to do that.
No, they're great points, and I think, as a large provider and supporter for customers in this industry, being privately held, being agile, having those development capabilities that you speak to have been very advantageous. And as you say, continues to grow.
Yeah.
When we see other companies, maybe not so much. So it is very encouraging to see that. And I want to squeeze in one more question, though. It's been great to get these insights from you, but I want to ask you about sort of what's next and what are the conversations do you think that people in the localization industry need to have next about responsible AI, about
Yeah.
that complex global content element that you spoke to earlier, and maybe the future of multilingual communication. So, what do you think about the next steps, Caroline? What should people be thinking about and talking about?
Well, look, it's changing so fast. I don't know even if this answer will be relevant in 3 months' time, right? But for now, I think we need to move beyond the excitement of AI and focus more deeply on responsibility in relation to AI. We definitely need more open conversations around AI governance. I'm very passionate about that. I know you know I'm very passionate about that. And accountability. Who is responsible for the output? Um, Equality, what does good look like? Quality standards in an AI driven world are very different now. What good looks like is very different from even a year ago. The the sort of the growing complexity of global content, it's no longer just language, it's context, it's culture and channel, right? And the sustainability of content operations, how we scale without compromising quality or trust, that's never going to go away. But fundamentally, I suppose the future of multilingual communications, it's not just about technology. It's about building systems that I view to be transparent. I've talked about that a lot, reliable, and designed with both businesses and end users in mind. Will I say the same thing in 3 months' time? I don't know, but that's my answer today.
Well, it's a great answer, and it's a wonderful answer for us to end on. Thank you so much, Caroline, for taking some time out with us. It's great to get some insights over the last 12 months and to hear a little bit about what's different and what's coming down the line. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of today's show with Caroline O'Connell, the Chief Revenue Officer at Vistatec. I'm going to ask everybody who's watching or listening to us around the world to tune in again to see or hear the next Vista Talks show, where once again we'll be discussing some interesting topics with interesting people from all around the world. But Caroline, thank you for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you today with your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Simon, and talk to you soon.